Hello everyone, Chris here. As the Season 5 is coming to an end in about a week, I decided to give you a DPS tier list that will allow you to expand your character pool, try out something new, and see what can you play in order to rank up and enjoy the game more. Let's get started. And the first character on the list is gonna be Bastion. It's not a surprise that Bastion is a C tier character. Let me tell you why. Higher you climb ranks, more problems you will encounter because your hitbox is exceptionally big and it's very easy to land shots and abilities onto your body. You have low mobility even if you learn how to land yourself on high grounds with your right click. You are really turret form dependent. When you are going for damage in a turret form, after you transform back, you become this very clunky robot with little to no help, as currently we have a very dive meta comp with Winstons, Sombras, Tracers, Anas, and all of them can take advantage of your weakness. Overall, in lower ranks, Ashe is a great choice to swag on some noobs, but in reality, even in low masters, you will experience a lot of problems playing this character. Even though you will damage a lot, it will not convert into Ws. The next character on the list is gonna be Sombra, and this opinion might be a little bit biased, as Sombra is one of my favorite characters in the whole Overwatch. But hear me out on this one. The ability to hack out and deny ultimates, as well as by you picking Sombra, you are forcing people out of their favorite tanks. Or if they decide to stay, you make their life as miserable as you possibly can. I'm speaking about Doomfists, I'm speaking about Orisa players, talking about Wrecking Balls, Divas, and even all the Brawl tanks that I have not named. They are also suffering quite tremendously versus you. Opponents have Widowmaker, and your team struggles to play against her. Well, you just play Sombra. Oh, Chris, but what if she's on the high ground? You just use your translocator to teleport yourself on the high ground and land an easy kill 10 out of 10 times. Oh, there is a support that I cannot do anything against, Zenyatta. He makes my tank's life miserable. What can I do? You pick Sombra and you spawn camp that character. The only support lineup that I would personally have problems with is gonna be Ana Brig, as it is literally super duper impossible to do anything against current strongest pick versus dive and overall as a support pair. Sombra is a great choice. You are great versus flying characters. It sounds very counterintuitive, but on control of the point maps, it is super easy to hack out Echo and destroy her. With the rest of your team, Pharah is not an exception. Mercy can also die a lot. I absolutely love playing Sombra. And if you have no idea how to play her, I will leave a link onto a Twitch streamer that is considered to be the best Sombra players. Not those ranked Sombra players, he's literally Overwatch League, and you can learn so much from him. Ability usage, cooldowns, cycles and rotations of your abilities, and decision making. Sombra, absolute S tier. Tracer, I would place her in S tier as well, although I have to go for a little disclaimer. This character is one of the hardest characters to learn, but when you do, you get so many positive results. Especially if you can land yourself a friendly Sombra player as your second DPS, as well as Winston. Your life becomes so much easier on Tracer, and you go from the category of distraction tool to a category of a potential backline assassin. And if they are running some useless stuff like Mercy Moira, or they are going for, God forbid, Lifeweaver Zenyatta, or they are going Baptiste, these characters are your bread and butter. It's so easy to punish them, especially if you have a coordinated dive going on. I understand that in a ranked scenario, it is almost impossible to land yourself a good Sombra player and a good Winston player. But just as in life, if you have no access to a golf club where people are making millions a year. You just have to make millions yourself. You have to become a player that's eligible to play in Grandmaster lobbies, and people in Grandmaster lobbies understand those things and can support you on that. And before that, you work as a distraction tool. You learn how to play Tracer on your own. You make sure that you are staying alive and you are throwing as much resources, attention, and time of the enemy backline and the whole team as you possibly can on Tracer, while your team is fighting the other team in a disadvantage. Widowmaker. It is very interesting how people were screaming and crying and whining about how this character is not playable anymore. And interestingly enough, people's opinion was so strong that I rarely see Widowmakers, even though ranked was filled with them before. I don't feel like anything has changed at all, as your damage drop off is not significant. Sure, you will not be able to land some cheeky headshots from 100 meters away, but the fact that you can tag enemies for half their health just with a full charged body shot and call that out so your team can capitalize on that while you are staying in a safe environment where nothing can kill you. Isn't it incredible? This character is insane, and when it comes to the A tier positioning, I would not place her in S tier simply because she is a very high skill ceiling character. I would feel like she is top 5 hardest character in the game to really get value on, but again, when you do, you see insane results. As well as there is an underlying problem. Widowmaker is incredibly squishy. She's incredibly squishy versus Tracer, she's incredibly squishy versus Sombra. She is really easy to reach out if opponents are playing a dive tank such as Winston, Wrecking Ball, and with the recent range nerf, if you would want to play closer positions, you are one jump away from the death. So Widowmaker is exceptionally strong in the current meta. Of course, it's a must pick on maps like Junkrat, Havana, and Circuit Royale, as their geometry allow you to utilize long range distances, but as a result, she is just the top of the A tier. Genji. This character is still a B tier 1. There are some problems that Blizzard would really need to fix in order for this character to be the top of the list. You are very reliant on your ability to finish off one target to then just snowball to another one. Your dash gets off the cooldown while you kill a player, and sometimes it can be utterly impossible to do anything against the enemy backline or the DPS squishes, as they have the potential to dodge you, they have the potential to kill you, they have the potential to completely counter you and just play certain characters that you have no idea how to play against. Genji is a very high skill ceiling character. It's not like he is Tracer or Widowmaker. I still feel like he's a little bit easier in that regard. But as a result, you are very, very reliant. This is a high risk, high reward hero, and there are characters like Echo, there are characters like Pharah, there are characters like Symmetra, there are characters like Mei, there are characters like Widowmaker that pretty much make your life miserable, and there is nothing you can do about it. Surely you can grab yourself a dive tank like Winston, but again, your dash is just too short to match the Winston's mobility. The same is gonna happen with Wrecking Ball and Doomfist, and sometimes you are just left alone by yourself playing with a brawl tank like Reinhardt, and there is just nothing you can do solo. You would have to rely on your second DPS to really soften up the squishes so you can one dash combo them, but in reality, when you are playing versus Ana, Brig, let's say Echo, Ana, Brig, Echo, Soldier, and then they have Winston as their tank, there is little to no place on the map that you can go to and have any results as Genji. Symmetra. This character is another B tier 1, but you have to understand how to utilize this character properly. If you are a Tracer player, this is your responsibility to use the teleport to teleport 4 of your teammates out of the spawn so they can get better positional advantage right from the start of the match. So hopefully this will win you a little bit more games and you will become a better player as a result. In terms of the Symmetra herself, if you would want to play her by her own, she is pretty decent versus certain characters like Sigma. You can charge off the shield and go for some insane beams. With the recent power shift, I feel like she lost some power. Yes, her right click is pretty good, but try landing that onto a character that's actively looking at you and have the ability to dodge that. It's not a hit scan, it's a projectile with pretty slow speed, so you can make it work even when, or only when, a person is not paying attention to your figure. Yes, there are whole team teleports, there are TP bombs, but as a result, opponents just play Echo, or opponents just play Soldier, or opponents just play anything that denies your teleport usage, and you become absolutely useless. Tracer Sombra is impossible to play against on Symmetra. Widowmaker is a big threat to you, and there is just nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. That's a pretty sad state of the character, although she is one of the strongest DPS when it comes to control of the point maps, that's for sure. Pharah. I would place this character in the top of the B tier, as this character can be exceptionally annoying, especially when you are not communicating with your teammates when playing against her. The fact that there are OTP players that are playing the character, that's really bad versus Pharah. There are Junkrat OTP players, there are Hanzo OTP players, there are Symmetra OTP players, and they are not ready to switch the character. They just want to play their own, and you are left alone as the only DPS that can do something versus Pharah. A great counters to her would be Diva, great counter is Echo, and great counter is obviously double hit scan. Although these sound very counterintuitive, but Tracer Sombra is a great counter to Pharah. Not only this is the best DPS lineup, but the fact that you can hack Pharah out and no mercy heal will be able to out heal the burst damage hack plus. Tracer also, it is utterly hard to hit opponents that know what they are doing versus you when you are playing Pharah. Of course, these players will try to avoid narrow chokes where you can spam your rockets for additional damage. Although this character is B tier 1, Yizan is proving it to be insane, but it's not the character, it's the player. The same goes for Wrecking Ball mains such as Chasm, the same goes for Doomfist such as Zebra. Every single time a mediocre player would try to take the character and do the same, is gonna be in shambles. So Pharah is a B tier character. Let's go for the next one. Sojourn. She's gonna be next on our list, and I would place this character at the bottom of A tier. She is incredibly strong and overpowered only if you learn how to utilize her abilities in a correct manner. This is a very, very, very high skill ceiling character, another difficult one, and every single time I see a Sojourn player in my lobby that's popping off, I understand that this guy is an incredible player. Or he's just smurfing my pick. Simple as that. Character can work exceptionally well with the Mercy Pocket and Overclock. The ultimate of Sojourn goes very hard with Ana. Jesus Christ, the amount of cool highlights that I have personally gotten from playing this character are just through the roof. Although there are possibilities and limitations to every single character, as you are very vulnerable to Echo players, you're very vulnerable to Pharah players, and you will find yourself in situations where this pocketed soldier is just running you over and there is nothing you can do. Character is nice versus most of the tanks. You can farm shields, you can peel for your backline, you can go for the enemy backline, you can work as a sniper, you can go for a mid-range, you can go for a close-range play, and this versatility allows you to get insane plays and turn around games that you would have lost without it. Ashe. I would place Ashe at the bottom of A tier. She's still incredibly strong. Her coach gun is a nice ability to escape danger and knock back both yourself and the enemy tank if he's diving you. Her dynamite is a strong ability, and the ultimate is also pretty decent. Although Ashe is struggling tremendously versus Sojourn, versus Widowmaker, versus Sombra, and versus Tracer, especially when they are paired up with Winston. There is just nothing you can do. Ashe is exceptionally horrible versus D.Va, as she can eat up all her abilities, peel for the backline, and go for the Ashe on the high ground. I would suspect that you would want to play this character on verticality maps such as Hollywood, Dorado, and Bunny, and all those maps are filled with D.Va players. Ashe is very strong versus flying characters, as she has the option to solo kill both Echo and Pharah. Ashe is pretty strong versus Cassidy because you have this damage range advantage. Ashe is semi-decent versus the soldier. It's all gonna come down to your mechanical part, and she can stand her own ground against most of the brawl tanks without any problems. You just have to be out of range and go for a nice position. Overall, this character is good, but not good enough if you compare her with others. Soldier. With the recent buffs, this character deserves to be the top of A tier spot. I find it very difficult to do anything versus a really good soldier player with a mercy pocket. This thing was pretty bad before, but now we are going for just insanity. Soldier is exceptionally strong and pretty much unkillable if you are playing in a non-coordinated team. He's really good versus most DPS players and have a very favorable 1v1 matchup. Although Soldier can struggle tremendously versus Winston, Sombra, Tracer, as well as he is an easy target to Widowmaker, you can still play your own ground and have insane results, especially if your hit scan, aim, and especially tracking is on point. Your abilities allow you to escape danger as well as stay on certain points of the map where other DPS would struggle to stay. And the main problem with Soldier is just Sombra Tracer. There is nothing you can do, and if you force your support to play on Mercy, she's gonna get dove all the time, and there is nothing you can do versus that. There is no way for you to peel for the backline. Sure, you can shoot the bubble, or you can shoot any other dive tank, or you can try to go for a kill onto the Tracer or Sombra, as both of them are pretty squishy, but in reality, you're just gonna get absolutely destroyed in that regard. This is exactly why I still see Soldier play on very high level, like Overwatch League ranked matches, but in reality, there are just better options for most of the maps. The problem is that you don't have the ability to access high ground on verticality maps. The problem with longer maps such as Circuit Royale, Havana, and Junkrat is that you are not matching Hanzos, you're not matching Widowmakers in your range, and on control of the point maps, you are in danger. You are one jump away from dying or letting your mercy pocket die. So Soldier is a very nice pick, especially at the lower ranks, but in reality, things could have been a lot better. Next up on the list, we have Reaper, and this character is a C tier 1. Of course, if you would place this character in a vacuum and just look at it, he is pretty cool, but in reality, the fact that you have to be very close in order to utilize your potential, the fact that your abilities are very predictable and people have sound cues, people are tracking your movement, makes you a very bad character. If you compare Tracer with Reaper, Tracer has better damage range, Tracer has better ultimate, Tracer has better mobility, Tracer has better hitbox, Tracer has better unpredictability. So it's very hard to really get track of Tracer in comparison with Reaper that's just literally TPing onto your face. And you might say, Chris, Reaper is really good versus Winston, but in reality that's not it. Not only that, you are getting absolutely destroyed by every single semi-decent DPS character above you in A and S tier list. Also, Winston has better mobility that will allow a good Winston player to play in his bubble, so you will never be able to shoot him in his body. You will just spam shield. And as a result, your TP has longer cooldown than his jump, so he can just jump away and force your backline. And if you try to protect your backline, he's gonna go for your squishes, and if you will try to protect your squishes, there's gonna be a vice versa situation. And even if you are protecting both your squishes and DPS, Winston can zone out the tank and destroy him 5 versus 1 with the rest of his team while you are just mindlessly spamming the bubble. Sad situation, but this is life. Mei. I would place this character in the middle of B tier. She is very, very annoying with her wall, and all of her abilities are pretty nice and interesting as she is a very self-sustained off-tank. But in reality, Mei is a horrendous choice in a non-coordinated solo ranked gameplay. The fact that you are very much reliant on your tank and support ability to follow up with good walls that you are placing is crucial, and as a Mei player, you will find yourself in situations where you would have very low damage because Blizzard for some reason decided to nerf her left click, and they made it from 100 damage to 55, which was horrendous. Super horrendous. And then they brought it back to 75 if you are not familiar, but still, this is absolutely not enough to make Mei work. Again, we are in the flying character meta at the moment. We are at the moment where people are playing Winston, people are playing Diva, and you have no idea how difficult it is to even do anything against a good Winston Tracer Sombra. It is utterly impossible to do anything. You cannot peel for your backline, you cannot literally do any damage to Winston or Winston's bubble. And yes, you can use your Icicle and be okay for some time. But in reality, Mei is just not the great character in the current meta. Hanzo. This character is gonna be placed at the bottom of A tier, and he is incredibly strong in the right hands. But in reality, again, we are coming back to the same meta that we have right now. Widowmaker is very annoying to play against. Sojourn is very annoying to play against. Soldier is very annoying to play against. Tracer, Sombra, Winston is almost impossible to do anything as you don't have any escape mechanism. You have a very, not very big, but a decent hitbox that pretty much every Tracer can easily track on and land most of her shots. You're easily hacked by Sombra and there is nothing you can do. And there is nothing you can do versus a Winston. You really cannot break his bubble in a fast manner that will allow you to help your team. So you are just like a sniper on a position. You would want to take an off angle, but every single time you would do so, you are gonna get zoned out. And usually if you are playing 4+1, so you are not with your team, you're gonna get dove by Winstons, Wrecking Balls, and Doomfists, and it is just the sad reality of the current situation. Hanzo is a great character, but not great enough in the current state of the game as the mid-season 5 continues. Next up we have Junkrat, and this character goes in the bottom of C tier. Unfortunately, he is very niche, and if I were to completely remove Tracer, Sombra, flying characters, Widowmaker, and Soldier out of equation, Junkrat might be a great choice as an Overwatch character, but in reality, he has no time and place. It feels like for the most part of the game, whether it's gonna be a map, whether it's gonna be a dive, poke, or a brawl comp, you just don't have place for this character, and there are better options every single time you would go to hero library and try to look for some. Character is super reliant on holding corners, super reliant on holding rooms, and he does it the best. If you would try to fight Junkrat in a closed environment, you're gonna get absolutely destroyed. I personally very like watching Junkrat montages when the dudes are jumping off their jump pad and just killing Pharahs, killing Mercies, killing Echoes out of the air, but in reality, this character is very high skill ceiling. It takes time to learn, and I would suspect that for the first 100 hours, you will see 0 to no results, and then slowly but surely, you will rise to the top. Well, in reality, if you were to spend 100 hours learning Sombra, you are gonna be a lot higher in terms of your rank, understanding of the game, and will just be a desirable teammate for duo, trio, or a full stack. In comparison with, oh guys, I'm playing Junkrat. Well, we don't have time for you. Echo is an interesting one. I would place her at the middle of A tier. She's absolutely 100% better than Sojourn, 100% better than Ashe, and 100% better than Hanzo. And if you would look at the best Echo player in the world right now, Yizan, who has top 10 accounts in, or 10 accounts in top 10, and he was rank 1 in Asia, America, and Europe at the same time, utilizing mostly Echo. You will actually see that this flying character is a lot better than Pharah in the current scenario, with the buffs to his ability to farm ultimate charge a lot faster. Makes this character an insane choice, especially if you are playing with a Mercy Pocket, especially if you are not playing against double hit scan. Echo is another very high skill ceiling character that you have to put in the time and effort to learn, but when you do, you will get insane results and you will win a lot more than you lose. Character is exceptionally annoying to play against and can work both as the poke character or a character that can go for silent assassinations on the backline. She is mostly used on verticality maps as a character that can access high grounds a lot easier than Sombra. Character is very nice in a setting where you are playing Winston, Echo, Tracer, Ana, and Brig, and it is insane what kind of results you can get with a coordinated dive using this character. I personally absolutely love Echo and will do more 10-hour challenge videos on her later on. Let's go for the next one. This one's gonna be very counterintuitive, but I am gonna place Cassidy at the bottom of B tier. As of Season 3, he was an absolute S tier character with his insane nade, but now, in reality, this character is a very big hitbox, very low health for that big hitbox. He is incredibly hard to utilize in certain scenarios, and again, we are in a dive meta era where you are getting jumped on and you have no escape mechanism to survive, you have no ability to access high grounds, you have no ability to escape danger, you have no ability to really pump out damage through the shield, and your nade is exceptionally hard to hit. It is utterly impossible to hit anything with your nade if they are paying attention and playing good characters. Yes, you can be played on control of the point maps, against hit scans, against flying characters, but in reality Cassidy is just a weak choice here. And if you would look at overbuff statistics, this character stands at 46% win rate, which is insanely bad. I never see Cassidy played on higher level ranked matches, yet Sombra is played all the time, although they both have the same win rate on overbuff. Very interesting. And the last character on the list is gonna be Torbjorn. This character is horrendous as well, as Blizzard decided to shift his power from his turret, which was absolutely overpowered, to his the left clicks and right clicks. And let me tell you, Torbjorn is horrendous. I absolutely loved playing this character, where I would go for a cheeky turret spot where no one would expect it, and I would get so much damage out of that by not even trying my absolute hardest to do anything, as the turret has auto aim. While in reality now you place a turret and it's annoying, it's not deadly as it was before. Yes, your right clicks are a lot better, but Torbjorn is still very big hitbox, very clunky, no mobility, no ability to escape danger. And when you're playing stuff like Echo Tracer or Sombra Tracer or Sombra Hanzo or Tracer Hanzo or Tracer Widowmaker, you kinda see what I'm talking about. Torbjorn has so many counters. Flying characters are countering him. Soldier is countering him. Tracer Sombra is countering him. And it is utterly impossible to find time and place for Torbjorn to really shine. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule, and there are characters that can easily counter him. There are characters that can be really, really good to play into when you're playing Torbjorn. Some tanks are horrendous when you're playing into Torbjorn. Some characters are horrendous, but in reality, it is just utterly impossible to really find value on Torbjorn. He's obviously better than both Sim and Cassidy, as well as Reaper, Bastion, and Junkrat, but in reality, that is not enough to really make the difference. That was it for today's tier list. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree with it. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Take care.